Eagle Court of Honor for Spencer Erickson. Wonderful day. It stopped snowing just for you, I think, didn't it? Made it so nice so we could all come out and see this. Welcome. Good to have you here. Hope you enjoy yourself. We would like to begin by turning the time over to Levi, our senior patrol leader, for the flag ceremony.
Dear Father in heaven, we're so very grateful at this time for all the blessings that we've received in our lives. We're so grateful, Father, for this wonderful free country we have to live in and the blessings and the opportunities which it affords us. We're so grateful for the scouting program and for the development of character and the development of leadership and the growth that it inspires in young men. We're grateful for the opportunity that the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints has had to adopt the scouting program as the activity arm of the Aaronic priesthood. We ask you to bless all those who are involved in scouting and in the priesthood, that they might perform their duties in a manner pleasing unto thee, that they might seek thy guidance and thy counsel, that they might be able to continue to help young men to grow and develop into the leaders that this nation and this community needs in the future. We're grateful, Father, for all that we have. We're so grateful for the opportunity we have to meet together in this building and to have the physical facilities which so many people throughout the world do without. We're grateful for all that we have. Please bless us that we will strive to remember thee and strive to be of service to thee and of service to others. Help us to remember the promises that we have made in scouting, and that those who are not involved, that they see the good work that we do. Bless them that they will strive to follow as well. Bless us in all things that we stand in need of at this time, Father, we pray humbly in the name of thy Son, Jesus Christ. Amen.
Thank you. Gary goes back now for the Eagle Board.
By the authority vested in me, I represent the Montana Council, the Bitterroot District, and the National Boy Scouts of America, and I declare this court to now be convened. A few short words here in regard to this is the scouting is a movement, and it continues in this world today, even though we are in crisis times in many ways, not only for our country but for our patriotism and all of the things that go with what scouting is about. We have had to fight, literally, to maintain our code. Some of the things that have been jotted down here is that the most wholesome and significant influence in the world today is Boy Scouting. Many successful, well-known persons are Eagle Scouts. A former president of the United States, a film director, whose films have won worldwide acclaim, and most originally the astronauts. Several outstanding sports personalities. The Eagle candidate, whose we are honoring this evening in a presentation of the Eagle Badge, has labored long to enter into his brotherhood. He will assume even greater responsibilities to the ideals to honor and service when he pledges himself of his sacred honor that he will be sealing his loyalty to the code of Eagle with the words which were closed in the Declaration of Independence. Also, I'd like to just thank everyone who came tonight. I know many of you family members have come many miles, and it's really a comfort to know that Spencer has that support. We've had quite a few Eagle Courts in this building, and every one of them is very special. All of these young men who have gone before Spencer and become Eagle Scouts are fine men that have taken their place in society and certainly have been revered by their classmates and even the people that employ them. I would like to introduce Roger Bardsley now. Again, he's the Venture Crew Chief of 2916, and will continue as the Master of Ceremonies of this proceeding.
Thank you, Jerry. Jerry and I go back just a little bit with each other. We were camping and laying on the same ground back in 1984 when we went over to Farragut, Idaho. They had an encampment over there of 11,000 LDS Scouts, and we got to be a part of that. As you go to scouting activities, you always learn something. Jerry learned that he is never going to set his tent up within 100 yards of mine in the future. I would like to, at this time, I see the rumbling of laughter, it's finally getting going, all right. I would like at this time to have all of the Eagle Scouts that are in the audience, could you please come forward and take a seat in the Eagle's Nest. And as they are doing so, could we have Spencer and the Honor Guard, could you please escort parents and grandparents to the stand. Thank you, Honor Guard. This time I'd like to introduce Stuart Bradshaw. Stuart's going to take a little bit of time and tell us a little bit of some of Spencer's scouting activities.
I told my daughter Athena that I had been asked to speak at Spencer's Eagle Court, and she said that I should tell lots of stories because he always got her in trouble in choir last year. Spencer might have a different version of that. Athena gets in trouble without much help, but I am grateful to be here today, and I'm very pleased and proud of Spencer's accomplishment. It's as I've worked with the Scouts, I know how much time and commitment goes into getting this eagle, and it's a tremendous accomplishment. And I won't tell too many stories. Spencer's on my A list. There's a very short list of Scouts who have not dumped me in a river or a creek and over the years, and Spencer is on that list who is not, so I'll try to be kind. As I was looking through the Scout Handbook and looking at the Scout Law, which lists, and I'm sure most of you, even if you haven't been to Scouting, are familiar with it, you've read through it. It lists 12 points or characteristics that a Scout ought to aspire to have in their life. And as I looked at those, all of them applied to one degree or another to Spencer. Particularly when I looked at friendly and courteous and cheerful, Spencer has consistently always been those things. And for many years I had Spencer in my class at church. And if you've ever taught 12 and 13 and 14 and 15-year-old boys, you know, you can imagine that there are some good Sundays and there are some Sundays that maybe aren't so good. But I could always count on Spencer, week in and week out. I can't think of one time over all those years where I didn't go in and he wasn't at least pretending to be cheerful that he was there, and was always courteous and friendly. And as a teacher, it was nice to have that, to be able to count on a young man to be a good student. That meant a lot to me. And so, Spencer, I want to thank you for that. And just advise you that as you continue to display those character traits, you're going to have a great success. You're going to be dealing with groups and in groups throughout your life. And if you can continue to maintain that attitude, you'll be blessed. And I know that part of that was Spencer's disposition. I know part of it was, I think he probably would have been hit at home if he hadn't been courteous and cheerful. But I know for a fact, having watched Spencer from the very beginning, that scouting played a part in developing those characteristics and attributes. On one particular, every summer we tried to do some little camp out that was supposed to be an adventure, and sometimes they would turn out to be more of an adventure than we had really planned. We had one planned, and then we'd actually planned it. We had maps and the agenda and everything all laid out, what we're going to do, where we're going to go. And it was 3 summers ago when we had all the fires. It was a while ago. Anyway, we were watching the fires over in the Pentlers as close as we could, and we actually called that morning before we left. And by the time we got over to where we were going, they had the Forest Service people out there, and they had it blockaded and told us we had to go home. Well, we had all these scouts and all this food, so we weren't going to go home. So we had to switch gears in midstream, and it really did turn into an adventure in terms of having to hitch a ride on some questionable vehicles to get to where we decided we were going to go with this change. And I sort of was afraid that maybe the boys would be disappointed or grumbling. We had this vision, this plan that we worked on for weeks, and I can just remember the boys, and Spencer in particular, just going with the flow. All right, we're going to have an adventure, and I appreciate that attitude as well. Trying to think of something I could say to embarrass him. I couldn't think of much. I love to listen to Spencer sing. But I can tell you there has been a time or two at about 1 in the morning where I said, Spencer, don't make me come over to that tent. I'd love to hear you sing, but stop. There were times, there was one time in particular where I think it was on the same trip, where we had to change everything. And this is sort of classic camping experience of mine. We, of course, get to where we think we're going to be, and it's 10:30 at night, it's pitch dark. So we start to put up camp in the dark, of course, and the boys, it was nice out, and I said, well, let's forget the tent. And so we made it up, and we got set up, and we had a little dinner, and I was kind of relaxing, taking a sigh of relief that we'd made it this far, and even though it had been dark and crazy adventure, we got there. And the boys were kind of looking at the sky and out across, and you could vaguely see, the next bridge over. And all of a sudden, Spencer, he's going to claim it was Caleb, but I think it was Spencer, shoots up and says, I see two glowing eyes on that other ridge. And so we look over, and he's claiming it was Caleb. I think it was Spencer. They're glowing red eyes. Look on that other ridge. And we all said, okay, sure, Spencer, go to sleep. That was the only time I questioned his sanity. And then in the morning when we woke up, there was some sort of radio tower or something over there that probably did have some glowing red lights on it. So we stopped teasing him. And then as I was looking at the Scout Law some more, the last one I looked at was A Scout is Brave. And I think that Dallas or somebody would probably be talking about Spencer's Eagle Project. But there were lots of different projects he could have done. And we sometimes, we don't obviously seek controversy or dispute. Sometimes when we take a course of action that we feel is right, we envision or know that there probably will be something. I think that Spencer, while he wasn't seeking that, certainly realized that there were going to be some that wouldn't be thrilled with what his Eagle Project was going to be. But the principles of duty to God and faith in God and patriotism that he learned in scouting carried him through. He was very courageous in light of what happened after he completed his Eagle Project, and I have a great deal of admiration for Spencer. With that regard, I'm hoping that we'll hear a little bit more about that tonight. But I'd just like to conclude by saying it's been a pleasure to work with Spencer over the years, and my congratulations to his family, and especially to him this day.
Thank you, Stuart. I'm sure you've got some other stories in there, so we'll just have to meet with you later to get them. I'd like to turn some time now over to one of Spencer's former Scoutmasters. I think you were a former Scoutmaster of his, weren't you? Brian Sorensen, and he's going to present the Eagle Charge.
It's a real honor for me to be here tonight. You'll notice in your program it says Grant Mullen. I am not Grant. Grant is very distraught that he is not here. So Grant's much better looking than I. If you'll just close your eyes and listen and pretend I'm Grant, it'll turn out okay. Scouts of all nations make up one of the most wholesome and significant movements in the world's history. Spencer, you have been judged by the Boy Scouts of America as being worthy of this honor and responsibility. You are a marked man. As an Eagle Scout, you have assumed a solemn obligation to do your duty to God, to your country, and to your fellow Scouts, and to mankind in general. This is a great undertaking. As you live up to your obligations, you bring honor to yourself and to your brother Scouts. America has many good things to give you and your children after you, but these good things depend for the most part on the quality of your citizens. Our country has had a great past. You can help make the future even greater. I charge you to undertake your citizenship with a solemn dedication. Be a leader, but lead only toward the best. Lift up every task you do and every office you hold to the highest level of service to God and your fellow man. So live and serve that those who know you will be inspired to finer living. I charge you to be among those who dedicate their hearts, hands, skills, and abilities to the common good. Help to build America's future by continuing to set an example of clean living, honest work, and unselfish citizenship and reverence for God, whatever others may do. You will leave behind you a record of which you can be justly proud. Eagle candidate Spencer Erickson, I charge you to enter this Eagle Scout Brotherhood, holding without reservation and ever before you the ideals of honor and service. By the repetition of the Eagle Scout promise before your fellow members, you will become an Eagle Scout. When you pledge yourself on your sacred honor, you will be sealing your eternal loyalty to the code of the Eagle Scout with the same words which close the Declaration of Independence. Will all the Eagle Scouts here tonight please stand and join Spencer as you renew your Eagle Scout promise, and he will say his Eagle Scout promise. Repeat after me. I reaffirm my allegiance to the three promises of the Scout Oath. I thoughtfully recognize and take upon myself the obligations and responsibilities of an Eagle Scout. On my honor, I will do my best to make my training an example, and my status and my influence count strongly for better scouting and for better citizenship. In my troop, in my community, and in my contacts with other people. To this I pledge my sacred honor. Two. Please be seated. Spencer, your conduct along the trail has been excellent. You have rededicated yourself to the principles of scouting, but one more thing is important: your future. As an Eagle Scout, you become a guide to other Scouts. You become an example in your community. Remember that your actions are now a little more conspicuous, and people will expect more of you. To falter in your responsibility would reflect not only on you, but on your fellow Eagle Scouts and all of Scouting. The torch you carry is not only yours, but it is also ours. Thank you.
Thank you, Brian. We will now be pleased to have a special musical number by Matt Bardsley. Matt has written this song specifically to go for Eagle Courts of Honor. It is entitled Prepared to Fly.
Journey long, the road seems endless that you're on. And the mountain up ahead, it seems so far. But the goal's been set, the pattern laid, and even when the finish fades, you know exactly what and who you are. So you begin, the end in view, and the road slips by before you, but you still have a mountain to climb. Is this where you want to be? Is this the path you want to see? You question things, but as you reach inside, you know that you were meant for this height. You were meant to be the eagle flying high. So open up your eyes, and step by step you'll prepare to fly. Step by step you'll prepare to fly. And halfway up and harder still, we can talk.
Are you staying down there? Come on, man. This time I get to share just a few experiences that I've had in scouting with you. I was thinking while I was sitting up here on the stand today that I have been involved in scouting now for 40 years. And now everybody's calculating on how old I am. It's been a long time. I've had a lot of neat experiences. I've been able to be involved in leadership positions in scouting on the district level and on the state level. But you know, it all comes down to the most favorite time is when I can go out camping with the boys and spend time with them. To be able to see, as these young men come into the scouting program, as very young men, and to see them go through a procedure laid out by scouting to the point where we can look up at Spencer and realize that he's not a young boy anymore. He's entering into the world as an adult person with leadership skills, with abilities, and ready to take on whatever the world gives out. It's interesting to see that process. It's interesting to see a group of 12-year-old scouts planning their first camp out. And you can see within their minds, they're planning their first breakfast camped out, cooked out over a fire. They plan out scrambled eggs and bacon and hash browns and juice. And they envision in their minds they're going to be sitting around that campfire with a full plate of breakfast. And it's not till they get up there, till they realize and cook the eggs first, that you're not supposed to cook the eggs first. And that when the ashes come up and flick into the pan, suddenly your eggs are not a golden color. They turn ash gray, and they just don't look very appealing. And they eat their eggs, and then they cook their bacon, and as soon as that's done, they shove it in their mouths, and they burn their mouths because the bacon's so hot, and then they get the hash browns going, and their breakfast is not exactly what they imagined it was going to be. It's interesting to watch scouts as they go to their first Klondike Derby in tennis shoes, and to understand very quickly that that was a mistake in their life, and sometimes to go back and be able to get the winter boots to make sure that they stay dry. It's interesting to see what happens as they set up their tent for the first time and realize that you can't play little dry games on the side of the tent, but the water will come through and get everything soaking wet. A lot of interesting things that these young men go through. But each and every experience, they learn and they grow. They are given leadership opportunities. They have the opportunity to follow. They have the opportunity to lead, and they learn from that. A special time in these young men's lives. I had a thing that I did. I loved to send the boys to bed whenever I could get them there. And then it was my job to tend the fire for a little while and make sure that that was out. But normally what I did is just set my chair next to the fire. And for some reason the boys didn't realize that tent was just that thin. And they would go about amongst themselves talking about the events of the day and the things that were exciting to them. And since the wall of the tent was only so thin, I just sat there and listened to the experiences of the day and to the things that they'd grown, and the things that they'd done. And that was some of the most rewarding times that I had, to be able to listen to the excitement that these young men had as they involved themselves in scouting. I talked with Spencer to make sure that he had a lot of these experiences, and over the phone, we did. He knows what it's like to have snow come in on you on the Klondike Derby. He knows all of these great things that we go through. I asked him some of his favorite experiences. And it's interesting enough, he goes back to the camps every time, as every young man does. So that's why they encourage us so much to be out in the wilderness with these young men. He thinks back to the times of Camp Coles and earning all of the merit badges that we did. His most favorite time that he talked about was when we and Clint Robinson went up and camped on Hungry Horse Reservoir, and all of the different experiences that we had then. He remembered hiking through Glacier Park along the wall there, coming around a corner and having a family of mountain goats on the same trail that they were on, heading right towards them, and they looked at each other and didn't know how they were going to get past each other. It was kind of a Mexican standoff there. Who was going to be able to go by? And suddenly the sheep jumped up and let the scouts pass. I don't know if that was answer to Scoutmaster's prayer or what, but it was a neat experience for these young men to be able to do that. I know that Dallas is going to talk about this, but I looked at Spencer and his Eagle Project, and I had a great deal of respect for him and the things that he put himself through to be able to have that go forward. It was a noble cause. It's something I was very pleased to have done. And as soon as I heard what his plans were, with a little bit of experience that I had, I knew he was going to have some problems and some hurdles that he was going to get past. But I also know that he'll be able to get past them and be able to conquer them. And he's done a very good job. I'm proud of Spencer. I've been able to be involved with him both in the church and with Scouts for all of his life. And I can tell you that I am confident that he's earned this Eagle Scout Award. I was pleased to be his leader as I took him to the district Board of Review. Spencer went ahead and got his Eagle early. He had 2 or 3 days before he turned 18, so he had lots of time left. But he was ready, and as he presented himself to the Eagle Board, he did a very good job, and they were very appreciative of him. So I'm proud to have known Spencer and proud that he's getting this wonderful award. I'd like to turn some time now over to Dallas, and he's going to tell us a little bit about the insights of his Eagle Project.
I appreciate Spencer asking me to report on this Eagle Project. Spencer, as you can imagine, started out with a fairly good-sized list of things he could do, from building trails and picnic tables and other things like that. And I was grateful that he chose this, even though he was fully aware of its nature and the possibility of controversy. He also knew that it might mean more than just hanging these posters. It might mean defending them as well. I think he silently hoped it wouldn't, and he wouldn't have to make any presentations to do that, but he realized that could happen. And in case anybody doesn't know, his choice was to hang the national motto in each of the classrooms in Stevensville School District. Mr. Kenzie, the superintendent, to his credit, was enthused about the project, and he okayed it and approved it, and with the stipulation that the teachers would have the choice on whether to hang them in the classroom. Then there was a sign-up sheet sent around, I understand several times, and most of the teachers signed up on that sign-up sheet, but a lot of them missed it. And so then Spencer had to do fundraising to get the posters, the plaques themselves, and the frames, and he is really appreciative of the individuals and businesses who helped with that. What happened, most of the fundraising, and it cost close to $1,000, was by people who gave $100 to have one of the models. And that worked very well, and a lot of people stepped forward, a lot of businesses to help out. You may be interested in knowing that Walmart donated the first $50 towards the plaques, and that allowed Spencer to get a few of them together so that he could start his fundraising. A lot of people helped him with the fundraising, as well as putting the plaques together and then hanging them in the schools. I don't know how many were involved, but several dozen people helped out in this project. It gave quite a bit of time. To Spencer's disappointment, there were complaints made about the posters, and to the credit of the school board, even though they heard these complaints, the plaques were left up. And we've been told that even though there's continuing controversy and continuing threats to sue about the plaques, that the school board will not remove them, and that they will let them hang as not as an endorsement of religion, but as a works at Super One in the deli, and he had several vets come in and ask for him and give him a hug, and some of them cried when they thanked him for his work. And that's important because those veterans know that a lot of men, hundreds of thousands of men and women, have died so that we would have our freedoms, and have given their tomorrow so that we could have our todays. It saddened me to think that just 5 years ago there probably would not have been a controversy. But it shows you how far we've progressed towards forgetting our roots as a nation. You just heard Dean and Crona sing the last verse of the national anthem. As Spencer mentioned in his presentation to the school board, he said this: "It is scary to me that if these challenges of our heritage continue, and if our leaders bow to these complaints, the national anthem will be outlawed and we will no longer be able to sing, 'Oh, thus be it ever.'" When free men shall stand between their loved homes, he didn't cry when he said this, in the war's desolation. Excuse me. Blessed with victory and peace, may the heaven-rescued land praise the power that hath made and preserved us a nation. Then conquer we must when our cause it is just, and this be our motto: in God is our trust. Even though the motto was not adopted by Congress until July 1956, it was accepted as the national motto in the early 1800s. It was in the national anthem, and it was often repeated as we sang the national anthem. Not only is the national motto on the money we handle, and on the dollar bill, there are references to our heritage, other references to our heritage. On the back, the pyramid is uncapped, signifying that we were not even close at the time this was printed to being completed as a nation. Inside the capstone, you have the all-seeing eye, which is an ancient symbol of divinity. It was Franklin's belief that one man could not do it alone. But a group of men, with the help of God, could do anything. In God we trust is on this currency. The Latin above the pyramid, and I don't know how to pronounce it, but it's Nanuit Coeptus, or something like that, means God has favored our undertaking. So there are many references to deity even on our money, and to our heritage as a nation. I had the opportunity to attend a county commission meeting with Spencer on the 23rd of December, and Spencer asked the commissioners to hang a motto on each of the county offices, and they ended up voting a resolution, which was unanimous, even though one board member was missing, to do just that. And they were going to encourage other elected officials to hang them in their offices as well. Even though he's finished the Eagle project, he told the commissioner that he would help fundraise and help hang those in the offices. I joined with Spencer in thanking all those businesses and individuals that helped with this project and made it a success. And I join with him in thanking all those who will defend and have defended this model from future attacks which are surely to come. And I appreciate Spencer for his courage in this project and the things that he said and the stand that he's taken. And I appreciate everyone that's taken a stand with him, and I thank you.
Thank you, Dennis. I'd like now to turn some time over to Don Mullen, another one of Spencer's former scout leaders, for the presentation of the awards.
You know, I'm impressed, Spencer, that you talked to the county commissioners and got them to hang those mottos in their offices. That's pretty impressive, because I know your project was done. You know, Spencer is probably one of those unsung heroes that's among all of us at certain points in time. I know he's not flamboyant sometimes and rambunctious, but he's humble and quiet and friendly, and he's always got a smile, and thereby doesn't always get the recognition that he deserves. And I know more than once he's bailed me out in assignments that I've been saddled with and things that I had to accomplish over the years. And I just feel humbled that he'd asked me to be here today and speak to you and help present this award. I remember one day, one of the cold fall days, as a matter of fact, Spencer and his brothers and his dad showed up at my place to split firewood, because I was trying to get a roof on the house before the winter came. And it's just the type of guy he is, and I appreciate all those times that he's been helpful, and I know he hasn't always gotten the due rewards of his efforts, but I know those rewards exist for him out there. His service has always been in humility, and it's always been with a smile. As a matter of fact, I remember several times that I was showed up on projects kind of begrudgingly, and Spencer's attitude and smile and has always helped me to turn that attitude around to one of a little more helpful nature. His nickname, at least I've always called him Spence. And I think that's indicative of the type of person he is. He's straightforward and trustworthy and always there with a smile. I appreciate Spence. Spence, we finally come to the point we've been waiting for. Probably wish this whole thing was over, but I know it's been a tough struggle, not a tough struggle, but I know it has been hard to come up through the ranks and do all the things that he needs to accomplish to become an Eagle. And all those things are done and all those requirements are met. And today's the day that he receives the recognition for all that effort and all that work. I have so many memories of so many different Eagles. Started a long time ago. I also remember that outing to Hungry Horse, and I believe that's where Brother Bradshaw got his first anointing in the river. From the canoe, he lost his camera and glasses and everything. But I don't think Spencer was involved with the bombarding. Not as I remember anyway. But that was a great outing, and there was a lot of great outings. The scouting program is pretty dear to my heart, even though I'm not an old scouter, an old veteran like Brother Barsley and Brother Gosbeck. But I appreciate and I'm thankful for the opportunity I had to serve in the scouting program. Spencer, I'm going to read a letter here that came from I guess, the district. It says, congratulations, you're an Eagle Scout. With the completion of the requirements you've mastered, many skills and made the Scout. When I first started with Eagle Scouts, I didn't have to wear glasses. With the completion of the requirements you've mastered many skills and made the Scout oath of law part of your life. Eagle Scouts exemplify hard work, strong character. You now participate fully in their proud tradition and heritage. The Eagle rank is the beginning, not the end of your journey. As an Eagle Scout, much is expected of you in your community, in your religious faith, in your family, and in scouting. Life is filled with expectations. With each new recognition, you're obligated to seek broader horizons of service. Scouting guides your life today. Because it does, you're better prepared to guide the future. Our prayers are with you and your future success. Sincerely, Roy S. Roberts, President, and Roy L. Williams, Chief Scout Executive. I'd like to give this letter and the Scout award to Spencer's fathers, who represent both the Spencer. It's a heavy piece of paper. In recognition of fathers in this whole process, and all the advice and all the help that goes along with that, I'd ask that we all remember how much a father puts into this and the recognition that he deserves also in helping his son attain this. And no one will ever know all the sacrifice that dad puts in than the mother understand the dedication that mother has in this whole process, and the hard work, and the nights of work, and the encouragement, and the frustration that goes along with that. I'd just like to recognize that. I'm not sure of how this all goes, but I think you're going to pin this bag on your son. Is that correct? All those years, at least I get that right. Okay, by the authority vested in me in the National Court of Honor and Boy Scouts of America, it is my privilege and pleasure to pronounce you an Eagle Scout. May the oath you have taken always remain with you. Okay, Dad also gets a little award here, and I'm sure I've got this messed up, but I should know because he heard this. So Spencer, I'm going to ask you if you can